Hello everybody and welcome, and today we are pleased to have with us Lisa Vickers, Consul General at the American Embassy in Egypt. Hello and welcome to World of Info.
Thank you, it's nice to be here.
Well, it's a great pleasure and honor to have such a seasoned, very well experienced diplomat who had a very vivid career in the U.S. Foreign Service, working now as the senior Foreign Service with the rank of a Minister Counselor. And now she is taking the role of a Consul General in the U.S. Embassy in Cairo since August 2017.
Right.
She has worked in different places, in different countries, and she speaks Spanish, German, and studied Polish and Finnish, and probably she is going to start studying Arabic as well.
I am studying Arabic.
I'm sure that you're going to be an experience. She has joined the Foreign Service in 1990, and she has received a senior performance pay and several superior meritorious honor awards. And she has had education in Durham University, right?
I've studied there for a year, yes, when I was in my undergrad.
So there is a lot of talk about a vivid and a colorful career like yours, but we are here to talk about something else a bit, which is, of course, the Consular Service of the United States Embassy in Cairo. Ms. Lisa is giving to us, Ms. Vickers is giving us a lot of information about the Foreign Service as regards the visa applicants.
Yes.
Because there is not only the program that you can apply just to have a tourist visa in the United States of America, but there is a lottery to speak about, which is giving an equal share for all the human beings of the world to have a chance to immigrate to the United States. Tell us about this program, please. We're all ears.
The diversity visa lottery program, or the green card lottery, or the DV lottery, all three of them mean pretty much the same thing.
Yes.
They're all our diversity program that each year 55,000 or 50,000 individuals from countries that are part of the program can apply to immigrate to the United States. This year, the program starts on Tuesday, October
18,
and it ends on November
22.
And you can apply one time to immigrate, to have the opportunity to win a green card in the lottery.
So every year you're allowed to apply only once.
That's
Don't
right.
send to 100 applicants, please.
No,
Applications, please.
if you send even 2 applications, you'll be disqualified.
So there are a lot of tricks in this application. We want to share all the tricks so that people can apply on the rightful way. Because always on the internet, on the Facebook, you'll find say, let me help you in this program. The American Embassy have given me the permission to work for them to help you in this. You've seen these fraud emails, right?
Yes, yes.
All through your life.
I have seen them the world over, and they take a variety of different forms.
You're coming directly from, you've been to Malawi and you've been to Germany and you've been everywhere, working always in the consular section, were you? Or?
No, I've, my previous posting in Frankfurt, I was the deputy principal officer of our largest consulate in the world. And prior to that, I was our deputy chief of mission at our embassy in Lilongwe, Malawi.
So always you have faced this problem of people who are trying to pretend that they work for the United States and that they're going to help people for some money. So the application is, should we pay to apply for this?
Absolutely not.
Great. So let's talk about that.
Of course. Anyone who wants to apply for the diversity visa lottery, it is free.
And nobody can help them except God, right?
Well, the application itself can be found on a website, and it is at dvlottery.state.gov. And that's the same address around the world to apply for the visa lottery.
So we have to talk about that in details, but right after the break.
Great. Yes, back again, World of Info, and you can call us at 257-89407. And today we're pleased to have with us Lisa Vickers, Consul General at the Embassy of the United States. So back again, World of Info with our distinguished guest, Lisa Vickers, Consul General at the Embassy of the U.S. in Egypt.
So there are no middlemen in the middle. There is nothing in this program, and it's only you and your computer and your internet to apply for such a visa, right?
That is absolutely right. And if there are just 4 things that you write down and remember
let's
from
talk about that
everything
in
we're going
detail.
to talk about today.
Yes.
remember four things. You can only apply one time,
Yes, this is very important, or you'll be disqualified.
or you'll
You'll
be
be disqualified forever, or this year only.
just this year only.
Okay, that's a good punishment, fair punishment.
Secondly, that after you apply, you should keep the confirmation number. We'll talk about the confirmation number in more detail, but that's very important. There is no fee. There is no fee to apply for this visa.
And there is no hanky-panky lawyer who's going to help you to bypass any lines or any numbers.
Nope,
and nobody's
not
going
at
to
all.
help you.
And finally, dvlottery.state.gov.
So another question. So the 50,000 can come from Egypt, or Egypt has a small number of people?
Egypt can get no more than 7% of that total.
So that's equivalent to how many people? 7% out of 50? That is...
Oh, you're going to make me do math. That's
Yes.
very mean.
Very unfair. Well, anyway, 7 out of 50,000, that's a good number. I mean, because that's almost 1,400,
These percentages are based on what?
They're based
350
on
people.
They're based on the number of people who, the number of visas, the number of countries that are part of the lottery, and it's based on the region. So the numbers don't change, but the number of people who are successfully drawn out of the lottery and can apply for the visa may be slightly more than the number of total numbers that will be available, because not everyone is going to qualify, or not everyone is going to decide at the end that they want to take advantage of this visa. And so consequently we draw a few more numbers than we actually expect people to take advantage of.
How far will this affect the normal sequence of events if you are applying for a tourist visa, normal tourist visa of the United States of America, and at the same time, or you're carrying one, and you are applying for this lottery program? Is this allowed?
Yes, of course.
This will not be held against them?
No, this is a lottery. And there's no, reasonable expectation that your number is going to come up in any given year. So if you hold a tourist visa, or you are planning to travel to the United States, you are perfectly free to continue to hold that visa or to apply for a visa to travel to the U.S., even if you're taking advantage of applying for the visa lottery.
And nothing will be held against you?
No.
So help me God.
Hopefully not, no.
No. So it's not taken against you because somebody who's applying for a green card means that he might have the intention to travel to become, in the end, a United States citizen. And at the same time, he is frequently going to the United States as a tourist. This is nothing bad about that.
Well, the law that governs non-immigrant visas or tourist visas or student visas, that category, is everyone is assumed to be an intending immigrant or is assumed to be immigrating to the U.S. unless they can prove to the consular officer who's interviewing them that they're not. And if someone has had a visa and travels maybe once or twice a year, I understand you're traveling soon to perhaps be running in a marathon.
Yes, we do that.
And if that's,
next year for New York, yes.
There you go. If that's something that you do and you use your visa in an appropriate manner, you stay in the United States no more than the length of time that the border officials allow you to stay, then if you are applying for the visa lottery, that's perfectly fine.
So, aside from that, because we'll talk a lot, if you have the time, hopefully, about applying for a tourist visa in the United States, because a lot of people of our listeners would be much interested also in this subject. They will be interested in the lottery, and they're also interested to know what are the new rules for applying for the US visa. So when we talk about this lottery thing, is there preferable points? I mean, if you're young, if you're a female or a male or a family with children, or you're applying only on your personal level, you're not married or single, is this gives you any benefit in applying for this lottery?
Nope, because this is a lottery. The successful applicants or the successful applicants who are chosen and have the ability to take advantage of the lottery, it's chosen by computer. So it doesn't matter if you're married, single, have children. It does matter if you're married. You must put your spouse's name on your entry form. If you are married, you can actually apply in your name and in your spouse's name. But then each spouse needs to list their spouse on their application. But it doesn't necessarily, they're not looking for a particular type of applicant. No particular type of applicant has any more ability to have their name chosen than anyone else.
So even if he's 60 years old or something, he will apply?
If he has a high school diploma, or failing that, has 2 years of experience in a profession that meets a certain qualification, then they are qualified to proceed with the diversity visa lottery or diversity visa.
I once heard that this idea of the lottery came on from the fact that the United States always have been a country of immigrants, and people are thinking of the American dream. So it's part of the American dream to let people use their own luck to get into the United States. Is it this idea of the lottery thing, or what? How come did this idea come in the first hand?
The visa lottery has been around for about 30 years, and the original intent of Congress when they approved this program was precisely what the name implies: diversity. The visas are available for countries or citizens of countries who have been less represented in the United States, who don't have large numbers of immigrants going to the United States. And so consequently, the program was geared to increase the number and diversity of immigrants to the United States. The United States prides itself on our diversity and the fact that we are a melting pot, if you want to say, or that we are a nation of immigrants. We feel that it's actually one of our strengths.
So not all the countries are involved in this program, no?
No, there are some countries that are not part of the diversity visa program. For example, Mexico, the Philippines, there are many others. Because there are a number of immigrants from those countries every year that are above a certain percentage. This program is designed for those countries who have been underrepresented or who don't send as many of their citizens as immigrants to the United States.
So when we're talking about 7% to 50,000, I've done the math, so that's almost equivalent to 3,500 Egyptians, right?
No. It's 7% of a region. So it'd be more like about 300 to 400 for Egyptians.
So it's not
such
7%.
a big number.
It's not 7%, right?
It's 7% is a figure that's used. You're trying to trip me up.
Yes.
It's a figure that's used within regions.
So 7% of the region, and we are considered Middle East region, or
actually a part of
North
Africa. Part of Africa.
So the number who are 7% from the African region are Egyptians, right? This is how it goes.
Roughly, yes.
So we're talking about 300 to 400.
3 to 500, let's say.
3 to 500. So, yes, why not? They have tried a lot of lotteries.
It is a lottery.
Yes. Actually, what made me ask this question is simply, I had one of my patients who is working in a very modest job, and he has won this lottery. So it happens, and he's been having this lottery. He has won this lottery maybe 10 years back, and he still goes and tries his luck every year. He has a vacation from his job, and he always go there and to try to find a permanent job so that he can bring his family. And how far is this green card available? I mean, it has a dead time. I mean, you won today this lottery, and you have a green card.
All right,
what happens after that? Yes,
all right, let's talk about the lottery timing for the lottery that is starting on October 18.
Yes, let's talk what will happen.
This is for our fiscal year 2019, which seems like a long way off, but is really about a year away. When you let's say you decide that you're going to throw your hat in the ring and apply for a diversity visa.
Okay.
So you fill out the form at dvlottery.state.gov, and you send that in. You have your confirmation sheet that you get after you finished entering it, and it has gone over the internet into the mythical barrel. And then in May, you can log into that website again and put in your confirmation number. And so this is May 2018, and it will tell you if you have been selected. Let's say your luck is very good, and indeed, you have been selected. Your number has come up.
Yes.
We then have a rank listing of the numbers that have been pulled, and numbers for each month, starting in October of 2018. There will be numbers available for people to apply for their visa. Those numbers are available from October of 2018 through September of 2019. Once the 50,000 numbers are gone, that's the end of the program for that year.
Okay.
As a general rule, it goes through until September 30th.
So Mr. X, the Egyptian gentleman, has won in May.
Yes.
And he has his confirmation number being chosen.
And
so what is his next step?
His next step is he will receive an email at that point. He should not receive any other emails or communication from the Department of State. And this is very important. Many people, we've talked about visa facilitators.
Yes,
say.
the fraud guys.
Well, they're not all fraudulent. Some of them are legitimately facilitators for people who don't feel confident doing this for themselves. But say the facilitator that you have used has not given you your confirmation number, as they should, or you start getting emails from someone saying that you've won and it's April. That isn't going to be true. We are not going to send you an email to tell you you've won. You have to use your confirmation number to go into the program in May, and it will tell you there. When it's time for you to actually apply, say you get an appointment in December of 2018, then you will get an email from the State Department telling you you need to check back in and make your appointment.
So from May till the designated appointment, you'll never receive any letter from the Foreign Service or from the American Embassy in the Cairo or whatever.
No.
Nothing.
You will be checking back with that website, with your confirmation number for all communications.
Until it clicks and says, actually
come
you have...
on in. Exactly.
On in. Okay. So you've got your confirmation number, you've been chosen, and suddenly you receive another on your confirmation number site or whatever, you receive an appointment on December the 1st, 2018.
That's very possible.
What will happen in this interview?
You will be given a list of instructions for things that you need to bring with you
in the interview
when you come for your interview. You will have a medical exam. You will, provide a variety of different papers and forms to be filled out. You'll come to the embassy. You'll speak to one of my officers, and you will have your interview. And if everything is in order and everything looks good, then you will receive your immigrant visa and you can travel to the United States.
That's starting from December the 2nd? If you win,
if you are very organized and you've satisfied the consular officer and you've done everything you need to do, yes.
So how do you satisfy the consular?
Yes, this is an important question.
Satisfy, in this case, it's just making sure that you have all the appropriate forms, that everything has been completed satisfactorily, that you meet the qualifications of having either a high school diploma, which is 12 years of formal education, or that you have a job that you have 2 years of work experience with that meets the qualification standards.
And nobody will look at your age or your looks or your race or whatever.
Absolutely
it's
not.
important for the people to hear.
It's that it has none of those qualifications have anything to do with it. If you've got a high school diploma or 2 years work experience, you've been selected and you've completed all the forms and have no other ineligibilities.
Like, for example, if you don't have any criminal record. Sorry to say this, right?
That's
it's important
right.
to bring.
It is important
to bring something that proves that you don't have a criminal record.
We will be asking you to provide that as part of the paperwork.
Like, for example, what we call a fish tashbih, that's
security
an
clearance.
Security clearance.
Yes.
No, it's not security. It's
It's a police report. Yes.
Police report that
and that is one of the things that you will need to bring
which
with
is
you.
very important, right?
Yes.
To make sure that you have a clear criminal record. This is important.
There's a number of different pieces of paper and forms and things you will need to bring with you. It may be slightly different for different applicants, so it's hard to say this is everything you're going to need to have, regardless of who you are. So you will be given instructions from the State Department of what you need to provide.
This will be before the interview of the 1st of December.
Before the interview, yes.
So let's come to an important question. Where does your family come in? I mean, Mr. X is married with kids. These kids are two types. Either they are above 21 or above 18, or they are less than 21.
Yes.
Right? So where come the family of Mr. X and his kids?
The family of Mr. X will have indicated on his application
that he's married
and that he has these children and what their ages are. That's part of the form.
Yes.
So when it comes time for him to come in for his appointment, Mrs. X and X Jr. and his daughter, Y, will come in. They will all come together. If his children are under the age of 21, then they can travel with the family. They all have to travel and enter the United States at the same time. Should one of his children be close to the age of 21, generally we will try to, if it's possible, and if a number is available, we will try to accelerate the appointment so that they can be interviewed and enter the United States before their child turns 21.
Now, X Jr. and Y, the daughter, the beautiful daughter, are simply above 21. And they are still living in the household of their parents, because this is very common in the countries that you have had this program. I mean, in Egypt, this is common. If they are still in the university, or they are sitting with their parents until they get married. So, are they given any privilege to have this green card? Or
no. If they are over the age of 21, they cannot immigrate to the United States on this particular program. However, their parents, once they have arrived in the United States, can apply for their children to immigrate, but that's under a different category.
So if we may, we're not going to diversify to this, but just to relax, soothe our listeners. So they have a chance. They are now 22 or 23, and their parents have been there. The father and the mother have been there to the United States. Can they start applying to bring their children right at the moment that they have entered the United States, or they have to wait until they get the American passport?
They have to, no. They need to wait until they have their green card, which they will get shortly after they arrive in the United States. They don't need to wait until they become American citizens. But if their children are over the age of 21 and they do wish to apply for them to immigrate, it is a different process. And they would start looking at that once they arrive in the United States.
And this is quite difficult, or it's a normal procedure?
It's a normal procedure.
I mean, they have a good chance to have a reunion of this family.
Again, it depends on a lot of different factors, and so every case is a little bit different.
This is important, to clarify to our listeners.
I understand. It just depends. If their 21-year-old is married, then no.
Of course.
If their 21-year-old is single, then yes, there is an opportunity. But of course, every case is slightly different, and would need to be looked at once the parents have immigrated to the United States.
So more about the U.S. lottery system of winning a visa, which is very interesting. We'll talk after the break.
Yes, back again, word of info, and you can call us at 257-89407, and we have with us Lisa Vickers, Consul General at the Embassy of the U.S. in Cairo. So back again, world of info.
So I did it my way. Mr. X.
You were doing it your way.
Mr. X did it his way.
Mr. X is doing it his way.
And he's doing fine. He received a permission to travel to the United States on the 2nd of December. And out he goes, and he tries his luck.
He goes home, he tells, he and his family go out to dinner, they celebrate, and then they start thinking, now what?
Yes.
Say they've had their appointment, but they've decided we still need to sell the house, we need to sell the car, we need to wind up our business, we need to start thinking about where we want to immigrate to, and those things generally aren't going to be done by December 3rd.
Yes.
So Mr. X has until September 30th to have his visa printed and travel to the United States. September 30th of 2019. Now, the caveat with that is, if we run out of numbers before September 30th, then he would be out of luck. So generally we recommend that, if you've won the lottery, you knew you won in May, start thinking about what your next steps are so that after you have your interview, you're not waiting a long period of time before you have your visa issued.
Yes.
And once your visa is issued, it's actually a visa in your passport. Some people think that we print the green card right here in the embassy.
It's green?
It is not green anymore, even though it's pink.
It's pink.
But we don't
Wow.
call it a pink card.
This is very depressing. It should be green.
I know, it's one of those urban legends.
Yes.
You get a visa in your passport, and you have the packet of documents that you submitted to the officer. And with all of that in your carry-on luggage, please don't pack it in your suitcase. You arrive at the port of entry. You speak to the immigration officer. They look at all of these things. They stamp them. They give you a number, and you are now a U.S. legal permanent resident.
Okay. Mr. X now was lucky. He knows some people over there who have helped him to offered him a job.
Great.
And he started working, and he will start to pay his bills and
Yes.
to pay his taxes.
Correct.
Right? And to get his medical insurance and to get his social number.
His social security,
His
yes.
social security number. Now everything is in place, and Mr. X is still carrying an Egyptian passport with a visa that's pink, it's not green, in his passport, and he's a permanent resident of the United
His
States.
tourist visa will have been canceled
Yes.
because he's now an immigrant.
Very good. Now, how long will he, if everything goes right, how long will he take the American passport? 1 year, 2 years, 3 years?
Generally, it's about 5 years before you're able to apply to transfer from a green card status to being a citizen.
During this 5 years, if he is paying his bills and he's paying his insurance and he is paying his taxes regularly and he's obeying the United States law, he will have it more or less automatically, right?
It's not an automatic. You do need to apply for it.
Yes.
There's a test that you take. And when you have passed the test and you've gone in to see the immigrations officials and they've approved everything, you actually go through a ceremony
Yes.
where you take the oath of allegiance and you are sworn in as a U.S. citizen.
So 5 years later, that will be, since 2019, that's going to be 24.
It could be 5 years. It could be 10. I know people who have been green card holders for 50 years. They've just never bothered to become a citizen. We don't require that you become a citizen. That's your choice. Obviously, we prefer that people become citizens because then you can vote and then you can participate as an American citizen in all ways. But that is up to the individual and what they themselves decide that is right for them.
So every year he's going to, every 5 years he's going to the Egyptian embassy to renew his passport, and then you're going to, how is he going to renew this visa on his passport?
He won't do that. He'll have his, he'll renew his Egyptian passport, and he'll have a card, a physical card, that is his visa. So when he travels, for example, he comes home. He comes home to see his family here in Egypt.
Yes.
Every couple of years and demonstrates that he's doing really well and that he's very happy. He comes home, he shows his passport and his green card, or he shows his passport, his Egyptian passport, enters Egypt under Egyptian law, and when he goes back to the United States, he enters the United States with his green card and his Egyptian passport.
And the green card now is not pink anymore.
It is still pink.
No way.
It's still a card, huh?
And the immigration officers welcome him home.
So he's having a card other than what is printed in the passport?
The visa is only what we give you initially, and that's what you use to start the process when you arrive at the port of entry.
But everyday business, he's having this
He'll
pink
have a card, yes.
this pink card that he will
And he'll
use,
have his social security card as well.
that he will use anywhere that if somebody wants
they
to,
request,
a police officer or
yes.
something wants to make sure that he's not illegal, so he'll bring up this
He'll have
pink
his green card, yes.
Pink.
But let
his
me
pink card.
ask this question: why would people not become U.S. citizens if you have the choice to have a passport and to just especially that you don't have to give up another nationality to be
that's
American?
An excellent question, and one that for each
The
individual,
$1 million question.
each individual has to answer it for themselves.
I mean, there's no, for example, they have to pay taxes when they're having green cards.
They
and
do.
The same thing goes for...
And they pay the insurance, everything,
do
and
they
they pay
have-
everything.
There are no differences between being a green card holder or a legal permanent resident, which is the actual term, and being a citizen, other than legal permanent residents cannot vote.
That's all.
Strange.
So we go now to, we have covered all about this lottery thing, and we're urging people to apply. There's
Yes.
almost 500
Remember,
Egyptian places.
It
It's-
could already
it's
be
free.
400.
It's free.
It's free.
There is no middleman.
It's one entry per person.
And there are no middlemen.
Make sure that your photograph was taken within the last 6 months. Don't use the photograph you might have used last year if you applied in a previous year, because that will disqualify you. Get a new photo.
Oh, that's good. That's good to ask.
And hold on to your confirmation number, because that is literally the key to the kingdom that you will use in May to check and see if you've won.
So we go now to something which I think is very popular with all the Egyptians listening to us. We want to go and visit Disneyland.
Okay?
Can we do that?
Of course you can.
How can we do that?
That's the
Well,
visas.
But first, you must apply for a non-immigrant visa.
Yes.
And in order to do that, you're going to go to another website, which is ustraveldocs.com, and you will fill out and request an appointment. You'll be given a barcode at the end. You bring that with you on the day that you come for your interview. And when you come in, you will speak to an American officer who will ask you questions about your job, your family, basically your ties to Egypt. And they may ask to see bank documents. They may not ask to see any documents at all. We want to just interview the person in front of us and know what their story is. Why are they interested in coming to our country? What do they hope to see? And if the officer is satisfied that the individual in front of them is planning on going to the United States for a short visit and at that point returning to Egypt, and we see no reason to believe that this individual is an intending immigrant, then they will be issued a visa and can carry on with their plans.
How long does
But
this
they
procedure
should
take?
never. But they should never make their plans. Don't buy those airline tickets or tickets to Disneyland until you have the visa.
How long does this procedure take?
Applying for the visa and getting your appointment depends. Right now, it takes about 21 days to get an appointment, but that varies with the season. It should be a little bit quicker in the coming months. And your interview takes place on that day. Hopefully, you'll be in the embassy for a fairly short period of time, and usually the visa is ready the next day.
Next day.
Unless there's some administrative processing, but
Because it used to take some longer period of time. Not this one. I mean, maybe 2 or 3 years back, or 4 years.
Even that, 3 days. Maximum.
generally the visa is ready the next day or so, and then it's sent back to your home or wherever you want it to be sent, and off you go. And it's good for 5 years usually.
So this is how it goes. Now I'm approaching the finish of my 5-year visa. And I want to go again.
Of course.
Can I do that?
Of course you
Do I,
can.
do I have an interview?
We
I mean,
have
I would love to come to the American Embassy, but I mean, this is time consuming.
Well,
this
you
is
know,
life
people
consuming.
are busy. People
Yes.
have jobs and
Yes.
lives. If your visa is still valid or perhaps has expired within the last year, no more than 12 months before, you just need to fill out the application, send your passport, new photo, and everything to the embassy. You do not need to come in for an appointment, and we can issue renew your visa, provided, of course, that everything you've used your visa appropriately, never had any problems. Then we can renew your visa and you don't need to come in and see us.
Yes.
We'd love to see you, but we recognize that for many people it's much nicer just to be able to drop it off and have it sent back to your home.
So we apply to the visa, and nowadays, I mean, in the very first time I applied for the visa, maybe 20 years ago, I remember it was quite reasonably priced. How far is it now? That's a tricky question.
Yes, it's not that tricky, but it is not free anymore.
Yeah, I mean, at that time it was maybe £100 or something like that. Yes. You see how young I am?
Yes. When I came into the Foreign Service, yes. The visa fee is $160 for the visa itself, or 3,000 Egyptian pounds.
Sorry to hear that, but it's okay.
It's gone up a little.
Yeah, a little. So, talking about the visas and talking about these things, we need to ask you an important question, but after the break.
All right.
Because the visa is just a permission for me to ride on the plane, right?
The visa is just permission to ask permission.
Okay, we have to clarify these points for our listeners.
Okay.
After the break.
All right.
So back again, word of info, and you can call us at 2578-9407. And you're having with us today Lisa Vickers, Consul General at the Embassy of the United States of America. So back again, word of info, and we have with us Lisa Vickers, Consul General at the Embassy of the United States of America.
So we're going to ask a last question, which is very important for our listeners to know. Now you have a visa on your passport, a tourist visa that is valid for 5 years. And now you're traveling tomorrow to the United States and you have reserved your hotel and the Disney tickets and everything is fine, right?
Ready to go.
And you're ready to go. You went into the airplane, and the guy in the airport, for people who are traveling, they know that they have traveled to the United States. They check your visa before you're on the airplane.
That's right.
And they give you a permission to be on the plane.
Yes,
Tell us about this point, because this is important to clarify to our listeners.
Basically, when you've got your visa and you go to the airline desk at the airport here in Cairo or wherever you're flying from, the airline checks you in. The information about your visa and passport are sent ahead to the United States. Then you land. Say you land, you're going to Disney World. You land in Orlando.
Oh yeah, maybe New York, because the Egyptian
Mostly
airline goes there.
If you're taking the direct flight, okay, JFK. And when you land in JFK, you're going to pick up your bags and you're going to first you're going to go through immigration.
Yes.
When you get to the immigration officer, they're going to ask you some questions. Where are you going? How long are you staying? Where are you staying? What's the hotel that you're going to be at? If you have a connecting flight, you can explain that you're not staying in New York, you're flying on to Orlando or Los Angeles, depending. And the officer basically will look at your visa, will ask you questions, and that's why I said a visa is permission to ask permission. The visa allows you to travel to the United States, where you're interviewed again at the border. The border officials will then determine if they're going to allow you into the United States.
They are not members of your staff.
They are from the Department of Homeland Security, Customs and Border Patrol. And they make that determination. If everything looks fine, they will allow you into the United States for a period of time that they determine. And at that point, you grab your luggage, you throw it back at the airline, you get on your connecting flight, and you land in Orlando with your kids, who are so excited to meet Mickey and Donald that they just can't stand it.
So I think this will be the final thing today, but definitely we have to emphasize, if all your papers are good, if all you've done your good homework, nobody is going to deny you the entrance of the United States, as long as all things are fixed, right?
As long as there's nothing that you didn't tell us when you applied for your visa, and as long as everything is in order, then yes, of course, you'll enjoy your trip.
Yes, okay.
Well, that's really...
Have fun.
Yes. Okay, we'll try to do that. Thank you very much, really,
Yes,
for
thank
giving
you.
all this
Thank you.
information.
Thank
Yes.
you for giving us this opportunity.
It's a real
our
pleasure.
And by this we come to the end of Word of Info. With us today was Lisa Vickers, Consul General at the Embassy of the United States of America, Dr. Ali Mabrouk, Professor of Plastic Surgery at Ain Shams University, Dua Muhammad at the controls, and Najla Naguib. See you next Thursday, same time, same station, FM 95.4.